Good morning. Good morning, beloveds. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Chico. Greater Chico. Reverend Lee and I chose the Greater Chico idea in that the idea was to think outside the box, always thinking something greater. And I know with doing treatment work, what I always include, what I treat for, is always this, whatever this happens to be, whatever the request happens to be. This or something greater. Because it keeps me open. It keeps me grounded in truth, yet open to the possibility. And in that is my title for today, Spiritual Trust. Because I do trust in this divine principle that is ever at work in us, as us, and through us. Because our life can't work without trusting that process. It must come from that inner sense of absolute knowing. What do you trust in your life? How about the chair you're sitting on? Do you trust it to support you? Yeah, I hope so. No one's falling down because the chair didn't support them. And it's simple things like that that remind us that this is what trust may feel like. So when I ask myself the question, do I trust this or that? Do I really feel supported by this or that? It keeps me in the greater idea of possibility. So happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Now I'd like you to raise your hand if you had a father. Trick question. That's good. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Well, Father's Day for me is the day that we get to acknowledge and honor our biological father. This is the day we get to make fuss over Dad. Whether he is here on the planet or not. You know, we do make those honorings and do those celebrations in the many ways and traditions that were handed down to us, don't we? There are barbecues and there are different things that we do. And like today we're having the all churches picnic, Father's Day picnic at 1 Mile Dam. And I'm so excited to be having this greater idea come into manifestation. It's an idea that I've had for, well, since we started our center, is to have a community social gathering. Because I think that is where many times we can connect. You know, we're comfortable, relaxed, we're hot, we're sweaty, it's summer, it's a picnic. So we're just there, just who we are, you know. Well, my Father's Day tradition when I was growing up was a barbecue. Dad got to sear, you know, whatever it was, burn it up on the outside of the house because Mom wouldn't let him cook on the inside. Because that was what the man did back in the day. Even though it was Father's Day, Dad got to cook. Mother's Day, what do mothers get? They get to go out because they ain't cooking. They're not cooking that day. Nuh-uh. But the rest of the family, the rest of us got to go buy the food, get it prepped, and Dad got the center stage. He got to do the barbecue thing. And he received all the glory because it was his day, as it should be. Everyone must have their day. I loved my father. I loved him deeply. And because of his example, I too love to sear up and burn up outdoors meat. I loved it. I loved it to do the cook thing occasionally. I'm not a real creative prep cook, but I love to sear stuff, you know, smoke and fire. Fathers teach us plenty, whether we know it or not. Whether we knew him or not. And because of this fact that we had a biological father, each of us has within us a lineage of our father. And a lineage so vast and so diverse that many times it's so unknown. Some of the ideas that are handed down by our biological father, because they came from his father and his father and his father. There's a familiar Bible reminder, and it goes like this: "It is the Father's good pleasure for you to receive all the gifts of the kingdom." And so whether we come from a long line of barbecuers or something else, there is a gift in all of that from our biological father. We are the culmination of all the DNA of our forefathers. That's a scientific fact. There's my science side kicking in. The way we tend to act out what we are believing is many times the result of our acceptance of our environment in which we were nourished, in which we were raised. In other words, it becomes us. It's becoming to us. And it's always becoming more of us, through us, as we're sharing with people, maybe as a father or a mentor to someone else. We are allowing them to become through us seeing them, through us mentoring them, through us embracing them into our circle of love. So we're all fathers in that way. Whether you're female or male, and I'll get to that a little bit later, we all have this father aspect of us. And you know, there's also times in my life when I have exampled some of the not so attractives of my father. And I thanked him, and I let those go. Mostly. Mostly. Every so often they'll pop up. It's like, you know, there's one little bit of coal or a piece of wood on the barbecue that hasn't quite been extinguished yet. That's still sizzling. And that's some of those less thans that pop up for me. But they don't stay burning for very long. I know how to extinguish and soften that a bit now. But I know that as we come from a sense of gratitude and appreciation for our fathers, that I feel very fortunate to have had mine for my first 28 years of my life. So I thank you, Dad, for the many gifts you provided. They have served me well in life. The greatest was, and still is, trust. My parents trusted me. And because I was trusted, I am committed to trust others and to this life. And I expect to be trusted. My parents were smart. My father would hand me the car keys. And I've told this story before. Going out with friends. Here's the keys to the car. Because we had one car, unlike today. And he said, remember, we trust you. They didn't say, don't you dare screw up. That was not an option. Here, we trust you. And that's big. That's big for me. It's big for me. So my dad first, and then his teaching, the science of mind, what blessings they have been in my life. And what a joyful obligation to my spiritual unfoldment. Now the theme for June is to experience commitment. So that's what we're about this month, to experience the ideas of commitment. So I begin with a couple of definitions. Commitment is the state of or instance of being obligated or emotionally impelled. Don't you love words? I love words. The state or an instance of being obligated or emotionally impelled. Well, the definition of impel is to impart motion to. So, for today's lesson, commitment is our mental state of being moved forward by our emotions, our beliefs, by whatever is going on within us. Whatever. We have committed to that through our mental activity. And it shows up. It shows up. There's also another scripture in the Bible which says, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Now I thought, huh? When I was a kid, what does that mean? That must be an awfully big house. Awfully big house. But what I've learned through this teaching is that within us we have a lot of rooms in which we house whatever we believe we are. And what moves us is our past experiences through these rooms, if you will, which are filled with all sorts of images and emotions. There's a science of mind principle called the masculine principle, and which I think is perfect for Father's Day. In this teaching, there's a feminine aspect, which we talk about on Mother's Day, and the masculine aspect. And the definition of the masculine principle is the assertive principle of being, the assertive principle. See, we're a balance of both the assertive and the soft, each one of us. And it's when we're out of balance with that life can be a little crazy for us inside. Like, you know, she can be soft and teary, but I, the man, cannot. Why? We all have emotions. So to find that balance within our own nature, to have the masculine principle come through. Goes on to say it's the self-conscious, self-propelling power of spirit. The projector principle of life. It projects out from us. It impels us to take action. And it impregnates the universal soul. I love that. It impregnates the soul with its ideas and concepts. The self-assertive spirit in either God or man is the masculine principle. And so this is the spiritual trust that I rely upon. It's the masculine principle that I am conscious of, and yet the principle, is only, we're in a teaching moment here, self-conscious. The principle within spirit is only self-conscious. It's not conscious of anything in the world, anything outside of itself. Meaning it has the power to create, but only out of our desire, through our concepts and emotions and beliefs, to create. It's a very powerful force. It's a very powerful force. The Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes tells us, behind every effect there is a cause. And this cause is a spiritual idea, which it must be. Then it follows that it should be spiritual. Then it follows that should the spiritual idea be discerned, the physical effect would be like it. Behind every effect there is a cause, and this cause is a spiritual idea, which it must be, because every thought is spiritual. Every cause is spiritual. Then it must follow that should that spiritual idea be clear and recognized, then our effect would be the same. In this teaching, we say thoughts are things, you can change your life, you change your thought, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And some people come into the teaching and they get almost to the realization of what it really takes to shift that idea within themselves. And it gets pretty scary because they're afraid of their power, afraid of their role in creating their own lives. I was there too. My second year as a student, I had to bail from class because it scared me. Whoa, you know, I can make the changes. It's not someone else's fault. it's my cause. I can make that change, and then my world changes. Wow, too scary. I bailed, but obviously I came back on board, and I'm so grateful today to be on board with the teaching because truly it saves my life every day. Well, the gift of the Father, the spiritual trust, is accepting a new possibility of our good in life. This is one of the principles we offer in this teaching. The potential of goodness is ready and willing and available when we change our mind. Every idea, every belief is drawing toward something, is father to the next piece of our lives. It's the natural state. It's a natural state within us. And yet we diminish that it's even there. We don't give it power. We don't let it out. We don't let it assert itself in a positive, forward way. The truth is, our good is always at choice in each moment and in every opportunity. The youth, yeah, you too. We're so happy that you're going to camp and that mentor and mentette, the seasoned one and about to be a seasoned one, get to go share in that delightful opportunity to realize the power that at this age that there is to create the kind of life that they desire for themselves. Not what the parents may think, or the grandparents, or their friends, or me, or anybody else. We are the influence. We're the influence. And then you get to take this principle and play it in your life, however you choose to do that. I tell them, when they come back from camp, you're going to look different. Look in their eyes when she gets back. Look in their eyes. You've seen it, Hugh. They're different. They're clear. They're not as confused. There's a happiness. There's a brightness. There's a knowingness within them. And that's that principle that they've touched upon so deeply. And it's having fun. It feels good to know that there's something you can rely on, this spiritual trust. So, God bless the dads. God bless the dads in all of our lives. And I know that I'm influenced by a lot of the men in our midst, as far as this morning Sam came in, and when he gave me a big old hug, he did a little scratching motion on my upper back. And my father used to do that. I said, Sam, my father did that, so he scratched more. You know, and it's being aware and conscious and just being present. Being present and going, oh, yeah, that was this. And that's a good memory. That's a good little coal I'm taking with me, you know, through my life. So, beloveds, project into your life with the trust and the knowing and the clarity that you have. It's nothing you need to get. You already have it. And allow that to rise up and say, this is me, this is what I want. Ernest Holmes tells us, our creative power is marvelous. For every time we think, we set this beautiful law of creativity in motion. Father's Day has offered me the opportunity to explore remembrances for myself, and I hope, I'm knowing, that you have some come up for you as well. My dad was big and powerful, 6'4", bigger than life, but you know, in remembrance, what I know as big were his deep, deep, positive influences upon life. And so take those influences that you have about your life and use this masculine principle to trust into your future. It's the best trust fund we can have. We think it's all about money. Money's good. Money works. It makes all this go around. You know, life and such, and PG&E, whatever it is. But beneath all that, there's a trust. There's that trust of spirit and of goodness. So as you go today, know that you're loved, and that the Father's good pleasure for you to have the kingdom is at hand. So it is.